Okay, so welcome back to Adam's Apple. My name is Kagan, I'm your host, and today I want to talk to you about why you should not buy the iPhone 13, but instead wait for the iPhone 12. I know that statement might be a little confusing, but allow me to explain. I'm going to break this video down into 5 parts so that you can very easily follow it. And the first part is going to be the price, which is the most obvious one. Usually every year when Apple announces their new phones, the previous generation is either discontinued or reduced in price by like $100 or more so that it can make way for the newer generation to become your main devices or the latest and greatest to take center stage. And that has exactly been the case this year with the old iPhone 12 now coming in at just $699 as opposed to $799 that it was last year. And the iPhone 12 mini is now $599, which is actually pretty impressive. So if you go on the Apple website right now, you will see the iPhone 12 starting at $599 in quote. And they don't point out that that's the mini, but that's not really important. Now, the reason why this is a really interesting offer is because essentially the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 13 are the exact same phone. The only real differences are going to be 2 things, at least the differences that are very obvious for you to see. And the first one is the camera. The camera module on the back of the iPhone 12, which was horizontal before, has now been notched ever so slightly. So now you have it in a diagonal mode, and that's pretty much how you first can tell that somebody is holding an iPhone 13 versus an iPhone 12. And the only other difference, aside that one that's physically obvious, is going to have to be the colors. The iPhone 12 last year had very few minimal colors, but this year they actually come out in more colors like the blue, or is it the sapphire blue, and the pink. And you also get a new type of product red this year that's a lot redder than the last red. It's more like ruby red this time, which is actually pretty impressive. Beyond that, there are other things that you can consider to be differences. If you're somebody who is actually very iPhone savvy, you might notice the 20% smaller notch. I mean, you probably wouldn't honestly, except you had both phones side by side, but the notch is smaller this year, and that's something that a lot of people might want to consider when buying the iPhones, because I know a lot of people didn't like the notches, which is why they kept still buying the iPhone 8 Plus in 2021. And of course, the next thing is the processor. And again, this is a part where I don't understand. Apple every year constantly compares their new phones to concepts that nobody understands. 50% faster is such an interesting concept because we have no idea what device they're comparing it to, but we're supposed to just take their word for it. So, I mean, I guess it's 50% faster, but what is it 50% faster than? Nobody knows. So the A15 Bionic versus the A14 Bionic. They are still built 5nm chipset, and they're still built ridiculously fast. I have the iPhone 12, it never hung, it never had any issues, it never had any processing problems. I was editing videos faster on that phone than any other iPhone, and I was pretty satisfied with it. So how I'm going to be able to tell the difference between the A15 and the A14 is still beyond me, but apparently you should be able to. Now, the last thing that's actually a difference that you might notice, or maybe not, in the iPhone 12 versus the iPhone 13 debate is going to have to be the cameras, or the camera. Now, Apple has basically included the sensor shift technology that they had in the 12 Pro and 12 Pro Max last year in the entry-level 13 mini and the iPhone 13 regular versions this year. So that's actually pretty cool. And the fact that you actually also get the cinema mode that's in the 13 Pro versions in the regular 13 is actually also pretty impressive. So you can do some really cool stuff with your camera. And apparently the camera sensor is a little wider, so you can actually get better and clearer photos in the dark. So at night mode. My night mode was already really good on my iPhone 12, and it was also really good on my iPhone 11 and the 11 Pro Max. So again, I am not sure this is a good enough reason to go iPhone 13. Now, the real difference, or the differences between the iPhone 12 and 13 today, for me, the realistic difference is the price. So if you do decide to save yourself the $100 and go iPhone 12, you're going to essentially be buying an iPhone 13 with 64 gigabytes of storage, which is actually pretty smart, because then if you just go up to iPhone 13, then you're going to be getting 128 gigabytes. So it gives you very little reason, or it gives you a lot to consider and weigh. If you're somebody who does not need a lot of space to store footages or photos and stuff, 64 gigabytes is probably going to be fine, and you could just be paying the $1 price for iCloud 50 GB every month if that's not a problem for you. That comes to a total of about $12 in a year for extra storage. That's not bad. So ultimately, at the end of the day, it now becomes, do you want a 64GB iPhone 13 or do you want a 128GB iPhone 13? Really smart move from Tim Cook, I think. But personally, I don't see the advantages of buying the iPhone 13 over the iPhone 12, at least not yet. Now, the part where the iPhone 13 is going to be a little different, or is supposed to be a little different from the iPhone 12 from last year, would have been iOS 15. But the thing is, Apple supports all their older devices even when they're several years older. Every single iPhone, from the iPhone 13 to the iPhone 6s, is going to be getting iOS 15. And that's supposed to be the ultimate difference, and pretty much it's not a difference anymore if my iPhone 7 Plus from eons ago can still use iOS 15. I mean, come on. It's the exact same software on all these phones and they perform about the same thing. The only difference, or the only real difference between all these phones, is going to have to be the performance based on the hardware and the processor and the speed of the chip inside of your phone. So ultimately, you're not really losing much if you decide to buy, actually, you're not losing anything if you decide to buy the iPhone 12 over the iPhone 13. So yes, don't buy the iPhone 13, wait for the iPhone 12. At least if you're smart with your money, I think that's what you should do. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you're not subscribed to this channel yet, it would really help us if you give this video a thumbs up and actually subscribe. And I guess I will see you on another video for Adam's Apple. Peace.